as many people as I can that I know is going to transform not just you, but the rest of your year, primarily because of this. It's not me. So I think I do a pretty decent job with keeping certain aspects, or I try to keep certain aspects of my life to me. And I think my Wi-Fi is tripping. Let me know if it's not tripping. I try to do a pretty good job of keeping my life pretty balanced, and for things to kind of make good sense and to keep going and to keep pressing and all of that kind of stuff. But I have got to do this. So for you all that are coming in, thank you so much for joining. If you do not mind, hit the share button, because I want to get as many people on here as I can, not to make me famous, but most importantly, for you all to really hear this, for it to get in your spirits and into your heart and get into your mind, and then lastly into your hands. Because I tell you this, 2020 is not over. We have just crossed that threshold of the halfway point, and I know firsthand that there's going to be some great stuff to go. All right, so with all that said, I'm gonna jump on in. So if you guys don't know me, my name is Evan, often referred to as Coach Ev, and I am a business coach by day, but there's a piece of me that I don't always allow to seep out, and that's what we're going to experience tonight, because the Lord just really put it on my heart to do this, and I'm just going to do it in obedience, because I realize when you do things according to His unction and to His leading, it really does set you up to get all those things that you're praying for, fasting for, believing for, that you know have your name on it. All that stuff starts to come to you when you start to move in obedience, and not just like one-time obedience, but consistent, prophet by night, but consistent obedience. So I'm gonna give you guys a little small story, and then we're gonna jump right on into it. So the last 2 months, I've had the opportunity to travel home. I'm from Atlanta, and when COVID hit in Chicago and everything like that, I spent a little time here. And I was like, you know what? I want to go home. I need a change of scenery. I realized that my life and everything was going well and was not bad, but I needed a change of scenery more than what I knew. So I packed 2 weeks worth of clothes, and I got in the car and I went to Atlanta, and I was like, cool, I'm going to be with family. My mama cooks. They got groceries. The weather's better. Like, it's going to be perfect. When I tell you, I went there for 2 weeks, and I ended up staying almost 2 months. And this is part of the reason why I ended up staying as long as I did. So there comes a point in time in life where you're starting to make progress, you're doing stuff, and it's kind of, you know what, this is happening, this is working, I'm doing well for myself, I am seeing the hand of God move for me, I am getting blessings, I am receiving blessings, it's just working, right? Then you get to a point where it's kind of, you know what, it's been working well, I believe in myself, I want to kick it up a few notches. And so that's where a lot of people have been at some point in time. So just in a moment of transparency, I do my online business by day, and when COVID hit, a lot of my peers and counterparts started to produce a lot of things. I mean, they were pulling stuff out the wazoo. They had gifts and talents that I didn't even know existed that they had, and they were putting these things to use, and they were going forward strong. I mean, like strong, like a part of stuff, building things. Like, it's one of those real moments where if you build it, they'll come. I was seeing the hand and the blessings of God hit people that I do life with, that are part of my peer circle and my business circle. And I specifically had the instruction to not do anything. So I'm not sure if you all know anything about me, but if you don't, here's a hint. I'm a planner. I'm a strategist. I answer questions. I connect dots for a living. COVID happened. The Lord pretty much stopped me from doing everything that I do or that I wanted to do, right? Think about how borderline stressful that probably was, or that is, or was for somebody like me who has a plan, who has a full year plan. Like, I'm probably like a lot of y'all. I had a full 12 month plan for this particular year that I was determined to see out and to see to and to see through. And if I get stopped, y'all let me know in the comments, because I want to make sure you know how it goes. Like, things stop moving and stop working, and you be like, okay. So with my awesome plan that I just knew was surefire, I was like, I went to God, you're going to do this for me. This is going to be the year where I crush some goals. I bust open some personal objectives. This was going to be my year. We heard these things in the beginning of the year. It's the year for divine expanse. It's a year for 2020. For a 2020 vision. It was a year for like crazy turnaround. It was a year for like some crazy things to start and begin to happen for a lot of people. We believed for like increase, material stuff, changes in jobs. If you can think of it, we started to believe God for it. And Okay, so what? Oh shoot, did I hit that? There it is. Okay. We were in that place and in that space where I was like, this is going to be my year. That's my year. And then everything stops. Everything has to take a break. Everything has to take a change in some sort of way, shape, form, or fashion. It happened. And this is where it got interesting. So I went home. I took a break. I recalibrated. I said, you know what? This is it for me. I'm going to do it. It's going to be well. It is going to be awesome. All that kind of stuff right there. And then life exploded in front of me like it did for a lot of people. Like life exploded. What we thought was going to be it wasn't it. We saw people losing their lives. We saw people losing their jobs. Things that we thought were stable and secure were no longer stable or secure. Like we really kind of got hit with the okie doke. It's like out of all the things that we thought that 2020 was going to bring us, it brought us everything except what we expected it to do. And then it all made sense, y'all. Then it all clicked. This year, for a lot of people, is still that year for great vision, for great expansion, for great growth. It is still the year for that. So this is where it's going to change for many of us. So while I was home, I got back into my goals. I got back to working out. I tried to eat a little bit better. I started to do all those things that make sense. I said, you know what? I'm going to get my life together. And so as I'm getting my life together, in a new way, God started to speak and to download and to prompt things in me that I was never expecting. So I'll be honest, I had a good goal list. I had quite a few trips planned. I knew that this was my dollar amount that I was going to make. And then bam, the year stopped. I started hiking this mountain called Stone Mountain back in Georgia. And every day that I climbed that mountain, I got a new level of revelation. The Lord spoke to me about a whole lot. So as I'm continuously working, continuously climbing this mountain, I'm trying to call myself getting in shape because I realized that literally the summer was about to rehappen again. And then my summer body was still like in winter of last year. And it was no longer going to be the summer where your personality mattered. I was like, you know what? I've got to get to work. So I got to work. I started eating clean, started really making those small life changes that really opened up the floodgates in a lot of different areas. One thing that I do know, when you start to make small changes, behaviors bleed. All behaviors bleed. But when you start to make small itty bitty changes, they move. They go. And then one thing that started off as a good thing in this area, now you're starting to see good changes and great results in other areas that that you never intended, right? Boom. Follow me. Y'all follow me. So I'm hiking this mountain. The Lord is speaking. And I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I've been doing this mountain a month. My time to hike up the mountain was getting shorter and smaller and smaller. And I was proud of myself. And then one time I was hiking with a good friend of mine and we were having a conversation on the way up and she started to talk about pace. Now, if you guys don't know anything about pace, so one thing that we do know often because we're in the microwave generation, we want it and we want it fast. We want it quick and we want it now. And pace is not generally something that is our friend. Often because of how we're smart people, we really have the recipe and we see so many stories where people make it overnight. They can go from making one Instagram post, one funny video, and then the next morning, their follower count has gone into the millions. They have people knocking on their door for brand ambassador opportunities. People are beating down their door for their book. All these things start to happen expediently. We are used to making it happen fast, but I want to ask you all, what happens when you have to come to the understanding and the realization that it's not about speed and it's all about pace? I'm going to say it again. What happens when you come to the realization that it's not just about speed, but it's all about pace? What we know firsthand and what I have learned while climbing that mountain is that speed was cool for a moment. Speed was cool for a time period, but speed was never going to get me the longevity I need to carry out what's in front of me or what's before me or what's got my name on it. I ask you all this in this moment. Think about it. How many times have you sped through something that the Lord could have put in your place and in your way for you to get this thing called endurance? Now, I don't know much. I don't know much, but I know this thing called endurance and long suffering is a fruit of the Spirit. And by way of fruit of the Spirit, you probably know what I'm talking about, but you get it. There's one thing that we are used to as a people is to getting there fast and not getting there with the strength and what we need to sustain. I coach people all the time who are strong, who can get there, but they can't stay there. I'll say it again. People who can get there, but they cannot stay there. And my next prompt to you is, do you want to just get there, or do you want to stay there? Do you want to get there? What's most important to you, getting there or staying there? Where the discrepancy and where the things get a little interesting is that most of us innately and not even intentionally want to get to that place called there, but we don't think about the fact or keep in mind, can I sustain at this place? I do the work. I've done the work. Hey, Cassandra, I do the work to get there, but can I stay here? And that's what the Lord started to deal with me about going up that mountain. I sped up that mountain in a record time for me, which is like 11 minutes. Now, that's a 2-mile hike straight up. And I got up there and I was so proud of myself. I was like, Evan, you've done it. You've blown your own goals. You have literally set yourself up. And like, I feel like I was on top of the world. And immediately the Lord started telling me speed was cool, but pace, could you do this long term? And I have to put it in front of you all. Pace is more important than speed. I'm going to get to the word that the Lord wants me to release, but pace is so much more important than speed. If you are feeling froggy, put in the comments, pace over speed. Pace over speed. Why this is important is because I'm telling you all what we're getting ready to hit, what a lot of us are hitting already. We're walking into it and didn't even realize that we are getting into a space, into a point where some things are really about to open up. I know for a lot of people, including myself, the start of this year has been insanely interesting. It has not gone the way that I planned for it to go. But let me tell you something. Hear me. I'm not one of the Facebook prophet peoples. I don't do this to rate whatever I'm not that guy, but I'm telling you what I've heard and what I've applied over the last month, and I've seen it start to blow my mind. And I'll tell you guys what happened to me at the end, but pace has to be the priority over speed. If you hear me, you're going to get there. You're destined to get there. You're going to get there, but you've got to go at the right pace. Some of us have to come out of the agreement and come out of the notion that even though we know that God's ways are higher than ours and his ways are better than ours, we still move at our own pace. We still move at our own calendar. We're still more committed to our own life plan and to our own life outline. No, not even acknowledging the fact that if he's the author and the finisher and he's not trying to confuse me, but yet I'm still trying to move at my own pace, I am literally on a crash course to disaster. Hear me, moving at your own pace, at your own speed, at your own time, and on your own timeline is a crash course, is an appointment for a crash waiting to happen. How many times have you moved too fast and it's gotten you little to nowhere, hurt, pain, tears, and a loss of resources? If you don't need anything else to connect to, pace is important right now because you don't want to waste the resources that you have worked for, that you've built, that you've set. You don't want to waste any more resources. You got to get into the mindset, you know what, it's pace over speed. I know in my mind, I saw it in my dreams. I've already put my goals. I've already started to do these things to get to that place called there, but I've got to go at the right pace. Pace. If you hear me, drop it in the comment. Pace, 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 pace. It's all about your pace. And this is why it's all about your pace. Are you ready? So this is what the Lord started to show me. This year, we have seen a lot of things, and all of them have not been good. We are clear on the fact that things are making a turn in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And for a lot of people, things are changing. Some people had the instruction when all of this started and began to sit down and to relax. For example, for me, my instruction was to sit down, to rest, and to rejuvenate. Rest, rejuvenation was the instruction that I got. A lot of you all got the same instruction: to chill out, to relax, to not press yourself, to not look to the left or to the right, to run your own race. But this is why it's important. Things are opening on your behalf starting now because you followed the instructions. Things are about to open on your behalf because you followed your instruction. Now, this is the thing. Everybody's instruction was different. Absolutely everyone's instruction was different. But hear me. And don't hear me, hear him. Things are about to move on your behalf because you followed his instruction. But now is the time for you to, if your instruction was to rest and to rejuvenate, hear this. The plan that you have in front of you, or the plan that you still have locked in your mind, needs to be put on paper, because the way you pace yourself is to follow the plan. Hear me. The proper way to pace yourself is to follow the plan. A lot of people have been bombarded with good things. One of my good friends calls them champagne problems. It's like you got good problems. For example, you have sold out stuff, or you have all these great things. Like, you know what? These are really good problems. But let me tell you, you got to have pace on your side to get to the end of this year, and for this year to be just what it needs to be. What the Lord started to remind me and show me is that many of us are shooting stars. We are the definition of a shooting star. We've got all the zeal, we've got all the energy, we've got all the desire, we've got all the care in the beginning. In the beginning, we are ready to go full throttle. But somewhere between middle of the second month, third month, sixth month, we are at the point where our star starts to fizzle. This is why it's important for your stars to make it to the end of the route this time around, because somebody is looking at your star as a way out of wherever they are. They're looking at your star as a way out of what they're trying to get away from. They're looking at your star saying, you know what? I can get to my place. I can get there because all I'm doing is following this star. Think about it. If you can honestly say, you know what, Evan, you're right. I've been that shooting star. I started strong. I started incredibly strong, but somewhere in the middle, I gave up. I got tired. I went too hard in the beginning and I lost my zeal. And it's like, come on, we've got to come into agreement with the fact that you've got to get in the pace. Get on pace with God. I'm not being the person that's trying to overload you with a bunch of spiritual stuff, but I'm telling you, at this moment in time, whatever your prayers are, please, including your prayer, not just timing, not just ideas, not just concept, but start to ask the Lord, at what pace should I be moving at? And if you're honest and you're saying, you know what, Evan, you're kind of like me, put your own timeline and your own pace down. Because I'm telling you this, if you're moving at your own pace, if you have not crashed, you're about to crash. Hear that as a warning. If you are moving at your own pace, not really trying to move with God or moving on your own, off your own intellect, off your own resources, off your own knowledge, I'm telling you, you are about to crash. And it is not what the Lord had designed for this year for you. He actually designed for you to prosper. He actually designed for you to make it way past where you are, but you got to be okay with saying, you know what? Not on my own pace, not at my own speed. You're going to get there, but you got to go at the pace that he has set for you. And if you don't know what that pace is, ask. But I promise you this, the Lord he does not sleep or slumber. And he's so much more than just the God that pays your bills and heals your body. He is a God that provides. And it's not just stuff and material things. You all hear me. The Lord provides a whole lot of instruction and information. We have often limited him to just doing stuff for us, and we've completely disregarded of how informative that he naturally is. It's almost like if you're looking for the friend that over communicates until you get it, God will be that person that over communicates because he cares so much about making sure that you get it that he'll explain it 17 different ways. He'll send you a prophet. He'll send you a tarot card reader. He'll send you a song. He will send you a random stranger. God is so concerned about you hearing what he's telling you. He's going to send it no matter what way he needs to. Maybe not the tarot card reader thing. I might have slipped up with that one. But I need y'all to hear this. Pace, 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 pace. Hear. Ask. I already took it back, Tamara. He's so concerned about you getting the instruction for you to go forward and not just to be a shooting star that fades out. He wants you to get all the way there and still have something left in the tank. We're so used to working and running on empty and being tired that we have become accustomed to functioning sleep deprived. We've come accustomed to functioning with limited amounts of rest. We've even become accustomed to functioning with limited resources, and all these things are not the devil. All these things are not God trying to withhold a promise or an end goal. Some of these things because we're accustomed to working from behind because we're on our own timeline. We are simply doing what we feel like doing. But hear me, if you want to win the rest of 2020, you've got to get the right pace. For those of you all, if you're like me, you have a full plan. I'm telling you, put that plan before God and ask for dates. Ask for specific dates. Ask for time. Ask for peace to know that right now is the moment. Because one of the worst things you can do outside of not starting and not doing something is doing it at the wrong time. Ask me how I know. In the midst of me learning how to get in sync and get into the flow with God, I have done things prematurely. I have done a few things prematurely. I have even done some things what I feel like was way too late, because I can tell you all this, the God that I serve gets very time sensitive information. He when he gives it to you, it's time sensitive. It's supposed to be done in a certain time so they can make a maximum impact. What happens when we reluctantly start to move slow and let things like fear, anxiety, worry, and all these different things come into our mind and then getting to our plan, we miss the window of opportunity for maximum impact. Let me tell you something. You're supposed to do stuff. I know, we know by way of the scripture that, as long as we touch one, we've done our job. I've got enough maturity to believe that, yes, one is always the goal, is always what we should strain for, at least desire to touch. But he's called us to make maximum impact. He's called us to make maximum impact. The issue that a lot of us have accepted is the fact that we've accepted the bare minimum. We have become okay with just barely making it. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about when it comes to moving forward in purpose. We have become okay with just getting through it. I did enough. And we've got to come out of that, because if you start to move at the pace of God, he's going to intentionally and consistently blow your mind. I'm telling you all, the issues that you're seeing and the certain things that are not manifesting the way they could is not because it's not there and it's not in you. Your pace is off. You're not even in the stride. It's almost like the river is just moving and you're still sitting at the shore looking at the river just go. You're looking at boats go down. You're looking at things. You're looking at all these things move, but you are still on the shore waiting for you to be comfortable with the pace of the river. Jump in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, hear me. Jump in. Jump in, jump in, jump in, jump in, jump in. The thing that you are afraid will consume you and drown you is not going to. I promise you, a lot of us are still, even at 2020 at this point, we are still afraid to just step. I promise you, on the other side of that one step is going to be another step. It's going to be another step. It's going to be another step. And when you look up, you'll realize, man, I've gone a whole lot farther than what I ever thought I could. But it always starts with you saying, you know what? I'll make that one step. I encourage whoever watches this, whoever may be watching this replay, jump in. Jump in. You are only missing out on things. You're missing on whatever you miss or you lack or you don't receive or get. It's not because it wasn't there or it didn't have your name on it. It's because you refuse to jump in and get what you need. The rest of this year is all about pace. God has set He set some intentional things up to release to you. A lot of us are about to get homes, get new jobs, change careers, change cities. Literally, change a lot of stuff is changing, but you've got to be willing to say, you know what? I'm in. God, I'm in. I'm in. Come hell or hot water, I'm in. Come fear, nervous, trembling, support, I'm in. I recognize the fact that I have got to move with you if I want what you've assigned and have for me. I'm not going to get it without you. You're not going to get it without him. You're not. This is for my fellow believers. You are not going to get it without him, because he doesn't want you to have it without him. He wants to give it to you. And he doesn't want, and this is the thing about it, when we move on our own pace, when we move at our own timeline, we end up having to work 10 times harder to get to that place called there. I will say that again for myself and for the people in the back. When you do it on your own, you got to work harder to get there. I'm going to say it until I feel it. When you do it on your own, you end up working 10 times harder to get there. And guess what? It never lasts. 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 So my admonishment to you is to jump in, because so much, I promise you, the Lord told me this, and then he sent it through another one of my friends. And I'm like, okay, I know I heard you. God specifically is about to do more in 6 months or less than what it would take us a full year to do. Hear me. He's about to do so much more in 6 months or less than what you could ever do in a full year on your own. I know a lot of people have counted out 2020 and have thrown this year to the side and are saying, you know what, just get me to 2021. Please hear me. Please hear me. He's going to do so much more between July 1st and December 31st. But this is the thing. You've got to be one of the people in the flow. You got to be one of the people in the river. If you're not there, you're going to miss. And guess what? This time, it's your own fault. You can't blame your pastor. You can't blame your hurt. You can't blame your past. I'm telling you, and then for the rest of this year, from July 1st through December 31st, 2020, he's going to do 10 times more than what you could have done in a full year by yourself. Y'all hear that? God's about to do in 6 months. He's about to give you a full year's worth of harvest. But you got to be in the right place at the right time. You've got to. I promise you, if you're one of those people who has thrown this year away, take that back. Get it back. This year is not over. So much is still left to happen for you. So much left is still to get to your hand. I could blow up. But this has been simmering. I'm telling you, July 1st, mark my words, July 1st through December 31st, prepare yourself. If you're willing to jump in, prepare your mind, your heart, your emotions, your bank account, prepare everything about your life I'm believing for me, it's going to triple. I don't care. It's going to triple, if not more. But I'm telling you, the Lord is going to do 10 times more than what you could have done in a full year in 6 months. Is that 6 months? More like whatever the amount of 5 months, which is even more mind blowing, from July 1st to December 31st. And that's what I wanted to jump on here and tell you. From July 1st to December 31st, it's about to happen. Yes, Tamara, for you, it's going to happen before October. But for the rest of us, our window, if not, is literally July 1st through December 31st, 2020. You are about to see some stuff, because really what's happened is a lot of things have been shaken up. A lot of things have been changed. A lot of things have been, we've got a lot of friction happening. And that's really the Lord making it making it extremely uncomfortable for us to stay the same. A lot of us are afraid to get into the pace and get into the movement with God, because getting with God forces you to change. There's absolutely no way possible for you to do and to get where you know that he wants you to be unchanged. It doesn't happen. Let me tell you, I've tried it. I've tried to do everything my way, and I make mistakes all the time. I make bad decisions all the time, but I'm telling you, if you want what's going to happen from July 1st through December 31st, 2020, you got to be okay with making the changes. The changes will be internal. They will be internal. There will be some mindsets that have to go. There has to be some behavior patterns that have to shift. It's got to happen if you really want what he has. And I'm telling you, I've seen it myself. I've seen what he wants for me. And I'm telling you, hear me. This is not Coach Ev. Hear me. If you want it, you got to change for it. If you want it, you got to change for it. But I tell you all this, I promise you, as somebody standing before you that does not do this often, that is not even usually willing to jump into this, if you want to have and obtain and possess what he has promised and what he has planned for July 1st through December 20th, December 31st, 2020, you've got to change, and you've got to be saying, okay, you know what? Your pace, at your pace, at your pace. God, I have a plan, but at your pace. God, I have a whole thing written out, but at your pace. We've got to say, okay, you know what? What is the timing of this? Timing is essential, because let me tell you something, what I know firsthand. A lot can happen in 5 to 6 months, but a whole lot can happen in 3 to 4 business days. I'm telling you all, a lot can happen in 3 to 4 business days. I saw things shift for me from Wednesday of last week to Friday of last week. I am doing things. I have embarked upon things. I have signed papers with my name on it for things that I'm like, ain't no way. But it makes sense, because I said, God, you know, I particularly wrote out my year calendar. And when I said, you know what, God, I'm going to do everything at your pace. What do you have on the docket next? I started to see what God had on the docket next. Now, let me tell you this. God's plan, God's docket, probably for most of us, because we sometimes don't hear right and we don't even submit it to him and we go off our intellect, we think that what we know to be right and what makes sense to us is going to be what God had planned. Let me tell you something. You're brilliant. You are brilliant. Your mind is one of a kind. But let me tell you something. Your plans fail in comparison to his. And it doesn't take him long. I decree and declare that 3 to 4 business days, a lot of us are going to start to see some stuff just move. Papers processed through. Names being called. Promotions. Let me tell you all something. Don't let the media and what you hear by way of word of mouth or see on Facebook make you think that this is a pandemic, that this is a pandemic, but it's not the end of the rope for a lot of people. Let me tell you something. I've seen more people prosper in the midst of all of this than what they would probably blow your mind. I scroll my timeline. I'm like, promotions, houses, big houses, cars, like, literally, we see it. It's happening. It's happening. People are finding their purpose. They're starting to move forward in their own mind. They're in God's mind for them and his plan. I'm telling you all, it's happening. And it's not just happening for me. It is not happening just for me. But I tell you this, it's all about pace. And if you submit your plans and you submit yourself and what you saw happening and what you desire to happen to him, I'm telling you all, it's going to blow your absolute mind. And guess what? It's supposed to. It is supposed to. But pace right now is important if you want to obtain what God had planned for the rest of this year. If you want to get it, you got to be willing to submit your plan, to go at his pace, and be okay with changing. You are not going to get what you believe God for and what you're praying. Some of y'all fasting. Some of y'all sowing all this stuff, money into these things, but you're not willing to change. I'm telling you, inward change is the thing that is going to open the floodgates for you. It's almost like I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Katrina, but when everything started to happen in New Orleans with the hurricane years and years ago, when the levee broke because there was so much water and pressure on the levee, it had no choice but to fold. A lot of the things that are causing you resistance, if you start to change here and change here and then change here, the levees are going to, I tell you all this, hear me, receive it. The levees are about to break for those who are willing to change. The levees are about to break for those who are willing to change. The levees are about to break for those who are willing to change. Thank you, Lord. I receive it. Because I'm telling you all, he is not withholding. He is not looking to withhold. Some of us have been faithful. Some of us have made mistakes. Some of us have been okay with going for it. God, I don't know what's happening. I have no idea what you're doing. I'm going to try my best not to give up. I might have got weary in my well-doing. I got a little frustrated today, but I haven't walked away from you all the way. I'm still hanging on by a thread, but I'm hanging on. And I'm telling you all, the Lord is about to break. The levees are about to break for a lot of people. A lot of people, and not just me. I'm already seeing it. I'm already seeing it. And I'm saying, Lord, I remember when you told me I needed to grow up. I remember sitting on top of that mountain and the Lord telling me, Evan, it's time for you to grow up. I remember when the Lord sent one of my sisters to say, okay, it's time to grow up. I'm telling you all, when you're okay with making the change, you are literally, that's going to be the thing that breaks the levees. And we talk about opening the windows of heaven and pouring you out blessings and floods. It's going to be a flood For those of us who are willing to change, get into the pace of God for the rest of this year, walk with him, talk with him, and most importantly, submit whatever you do to him first, I'm telling you, you are setting yourself up for blessings. I don't know much, but I know that obedience is better than sacrifice. A lot of us have sacrificed, but never moved in obedience. A lot of us have sacrificed to the ends of the earth. We have given up things that the Lord is probably like, thanks, but that is really not what I asked for. That is not what I asked for. I thank you. Thank you for sacrificing, but I asked you to move in obedience here, and you gave me sacrifice here. I didn't ask you for that. But you know what I believe that we do in moments like that? We show God, I'm willing, but I ain't ready. I'm willing to do it. I can actually do it, but it's got to be for what I want it to be for. And then we wonder why we're standing up under glass ceilings and we're like, I can see the blessing. I can see this. I can see that. I can see all these things above me. But it needed obedience, not just that sacrifice you gave, because that sacrifice often, if we're honest and transparent, I know I can be, the sacrifices, I'll really be like, whew, Lord, here's a sacrifice. It's kind of like, now, was that really a sacrifice? Was it really a sacrifice? But who can I be upset with? Who can I be lost? Who can I be frustrated with? 'Cause a lot of us have some resentment and bitterness towards God. And you're like, is it because I did all of this? But we did everything except what he really asked for us to do. And I know because I've been there time and time again. But I'm telling you, get rid of the sacrifice and be obedient. Give him what he's asking for. Even if you don't know how you're going to do it, give it. Even if you don't understand it, give it. You got to say, you know what? I'm going to be obedient because I still believe that 2020, I know for a fact that 2020 is my year. And if all I've got to do is be obedient and make some internal changes and some inward changes for those levees to break in my life, and so a flood of blessings will overtake me, I'll change. I'll change cities. I'll change churches. I'll change careers. I'll change logics. I'll change mindsets. I'll change what I do with my money. I will change it all to know. I'll change it all for you anyway. I should. But the fact that I know what you have for me in a 5-month window, that little change, it's going to fly. I got it. Changing. £, changing. I'm willing to do it because I know that you don't leave me. You'll never forsake me. And most importantly, you want the best for me. I mentioned it earlier. A lot of times we settle. We settle. We have become okay with getting just here. I'm sick of that. I did that for too long. I don't want the bare minimum. I do not want the bare minimum. As a matter of fact, because I believe in confessions and decrees, put it in the comments and say out loud in your house, I no longer want the bare minimum. I no longer want the bare minimum. I no longer want the bare minimum. A lot of us, because of life and because of things happen, how things have gone, we have become okay with the bare minimum. We'll say, I want better, but we are okay with the bare minimum. We've got to be, you know what? That bare minimum stuff, that's poverty. That bare minimum logic and mentality and that bare minimum way of operating is poverty. It's time for us to go from poverty to promise and prosperity. Listen, let me tell you something about it. The Lord didn't call me to struggle, and so I don't. He didn't call me to be less than and to have less so I won't. But I don't want the bare minimum. I refuse to accept the bare minimum. I may not understand my own value. I may not even understand my own self-worth. I may not see it, but I know whose I am and I know who I follow. So therefore, the bare minimum should not be okay with me. The bare minimum is not okay. No more bare minimum. I don't want it. Give that to somebody else. Give it to my neighbor. Give it to whoever. I don't want the bare minimum. And because I don't want the bare minimum, I'm going to show you by way of my obedience that I don't want the bare minimum. I'm not just going to sacrifice stuff that you could really be like, okay, I ain't asked you for that. I refuse. And so what am I going to do to open up the levees in my life and in my family and in my business and in my job and in my peace and in my happiness and my joy? I am going to be obedient. A lot of us should make we use COVID to rest and to relax because that was the instruction that some of us gave. The Lord gave some of us. He also gave some of us to work and to plow. But some of us need to just move, shift, pack up, throw the deuces. The bare minimum can no longer be what we choose to accept. Gotta be like, you know what? The bare minimum is not for me. The bare minimum is not for me. Thank you guys for joining my TED Talk. If you didn't hear anything else I said, I'm going to leave this up. Please tag a friend. Share this to somebody right now. The bare minimum is no longer for me. The bare minimum is no longer for me. I am going to be committed and disciplined and moving at the pace of God so I can get to what I know he's promised for me, because I tell you all this. I tell you, if you don't hear nothing else I'm saying, July 1st through December 31st, 2020 will be one of the best 5 to 6 month spans of Evan's life. And I believe it's going to continue further. All because I'm willing to be obedient this time. I'm willing to change this time. I'm willing to move with God this time. I'm tired of partnering with everybody else. I'm tired of partnering with this person and that partner. I could have just partnered with God and got 10 times further than where I am right now. We do partnership. We do commitment. Don't fall for that. We don't know how to commit. We don't know how to do life to partner. We partner. We partner based upon what we desire and what we feel like doing. But gone are those days. If you want the rest of what this year has been designed and has your name on, you've got to be willing to change. You've got to be willing to get in the river with God and jump in. You've got to be willing to partner with God. I know. And let me say something about God. He's so faithful that for some of us, we're going to make that commitment tonight to partner with him, and we're going to see some instant manifestation. I wholeheartedly believe that, because let me tell you something about it. I don't open my mouth to do this a lot, but I do it when I really have been forced to do it. And I know God is so faithful that he moves according to our obedience. I'm expecting God to blow my mind tonight. Before I go to bed, I am okay with checking my email and there is something, a contract or an opportunity. I am expecting it because I decided to move in obedience. But if we move at his pace, be obedient with him, be obedient to him, follow him, and partner with him. I'm telling you, I'll partner with God. If you didn't listen to anything else, here it is, partner with God. Come out of partnership with everybody else, with everybody else's perspective, their logic, their thoughts of you. Come out of that and partner with God tonight. Partner with him. He is going to do so much more in the 5-month span than you could ever do in a year on your own. July 1st through December 31st, 2020. Prepare your heart, your mind, your accounts, your influence. Prepare it all to be expanded, because you're partnering with him and you're saying, you know what? I'm going to do it at your pace, at your time, as you give the instruction. And I'm going to stop sacrificing things that you didn't ask for. I'm going to give you what you want. We give everybody else what they want. I'm going to give you what you want. Because I know that when I give it to you, you're going to do so much more than what I ever could. What I ever could. Y'all, I'm a planner by nature. I'm a solutionist. I'm a strategist by job. I partnered with God on that mountain about 2 weeks ago. I said, God, I know I got this plan. I know in my mind I can do it. I've seen success in my own strength, but God, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it my own way. I want to do it your way. You all, and I'm standing here to give you all this testimony as a truth. I partnered with God 2 weeks ago. I signed my first government contract last week. I officially literally did the second half of the paperwork today. I'm back in Chicago today because the city of Chicago is going to pay me to do something that I love to do. But I know it was, yes, I was obedient in the past and I did all that kind of stuff. But I know it's because on that mountain, I had a very sincere moment. I said, God, I know I am smart enough to do it on my own. And I don't want to do that anymore. I've done it enough. I've done it enough. I would rather do it with you, because you can do more for me than what I could do for myself. bragging on God here. I am making more in 6 weeks for 1 hour than what some people can make a month. And I'm doing what I love to do. I appreciate you guys, the well wishes, but I want you guys to hear that as a testament to what happens when you partner with God and say, you know what? Let me do this your way. Let me put my little perspective and my little route. Let me just throw that to the side a little bit. And just that fast, a call comes out of nowhere, out of absolute nowhere. But I know it didn't come out of nowhere. It came because I made a great exchange. One of my friends, Lauren Ward, wrote a book called The Great Exchange. I made a great exchange trying to work out. I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this your way because I've done it my way. It's been all right. It's been okay. But I know you're not a liar. You can do so much more with my partnership with you. And you can do so much more faster than what I can do on my own in a year's time. So listen, that was it. Hear that. Move at the pace of God. Jump in. Don't be afraid. Partner with him. And then most importantly, expect for him to do so much more than what you think he could by way of you giving your obedience. And if you don't, I'm going to tweet it. God said obedience is going to be the thing that gives him the clearance to do from July 1st to December 31st, 2020, more than what you ever would have thought possible could happen for you this year, what you could have planned. He's going to do it in a 5-month window. He's going to do it in a 5-month window. He's going to do it in a 5-month window. Prepare yourself. Put your plans before him. Put a plan on paper. Then put it before him and let him flow. Let him go. But all you got to do is be willing to jump in, move at his pace, be obedient to him, partner with him, and to let him do what he does best. Let him do what he does best. And I promise you, you think 2020 was half gone? People be like, throw 2020 away. I'm like, shh, who? Not me. You guys throw it away. I will get all of the rest of all the 2020s y'all threw away on these little memes. I will jump in and get that 20. I will get that much of 2020. That's what I'm committed to doing. So I thank you guys for jumping. Oh, does anybody have any questions? I know I said a lot, but if you guys have any questions, ask now. Shoot me a message. I promise you, if you receive this, do something about it. Put your plans on paper. Give it to God. Allow him to give you the pace and move at his pace. And most importantly, keep your expectation at that point where it's like, you know what? I know that my God is faithful enough and my obedience partner with that. The rest of this year, July 1st through December 31st, I am going to receive so much more than what you could ever have thought or imagined. Am I doing coaching sessions? I sure am. I sure am. If you need one, just go to my website. But I'm telling you all, hear that. If you guys don't have any questions, Tamara, I have some coaching sessions available. Yeah, that's what I needed to jump on here and say. Make the great exchange. Oh, there's Lawrence right there. Make the great exchange and do what needs to be done. Partner with God. Let him do what he does so well. And I promise you, it's going to change everything about the rest of this year because this year is not over. So many great things are on the horizon for you, but you got to give God your plan, move at his pace, be obedient, and allow him to do just what he's planned to do, which is to blow your mind. Thank you all. Hey, Lauren. Thank you all for jumping on. Thank you all for listening. Do me a favor. Hey, what's up, Pastor Hall? Share it with somebody. Can you prophesy to me, Taurus? Do not do that to me. But matter of fact, let me close in a word of prayer. And nobody has any questions. Father, I thank you for everyone that has jumped onto this live, God. Thank you that this was not just a moment in time where a happenstance that just accidentally clicked in. This was intentional, God. You needed us to know firsthand and for a fact that you have us. You're moving with us. You're moving on our behalf, but you want to do this with us. So, Father, I pray a special grace and a boldness and a courage for people to put their plans on paper, for them to submit them to you, and then for them to say yes to your pace, yes to your route, yes to your way, yes to whatever your leadings or promptings may be. God, I pray boldness and courage overtake people Everybody who watches this live, whether it's live or replay, whatever, God, I pray that boldness overtakes them and they're saying, you know what? I'll give it all I got this time. I'll try what I've never tried before because I know that, God, you are not a liar. I believe what you said. I believe what your prophet has said, that you were going to do some things in the last 5 months of this year that will literally make everything that I'm willing to sacrifice, that I'm going to give in obedience, is all going to make sense. So, Father, we thank you for making sense of our lives, making sense of our seasons, making sense of what's happening around us, but most importantly, God, giving us the reminder that things are happening for us and for our good. So, Father, we thank you for a divine partnership with you, knowing that you will never leave us and forsake us, that your plans are to prosper us, to put us before and to keep us in good health, to put us before great men, for us to be and to go and to do and to make a maximum impact. So, Father, I pray a special burden and grace for you to reveal your timing to your people. God, I pray that you wake them up in the middle of the night to give reminders that this is not the time for it. Right idea, wrong time. Right idea, next season. Whatever you got to do, God, to get us to come into the awareness that you operate on a really good time system for a good reason, for us to be okay with that, God. We thank you right now for even the switch ups for those who have been called and who've been charged and challenged to make some major changes. God, we thank you right now that those major changes are being made one small step at a time. God, we know that when you tell us to do something, we don't take leaps because we know what's going to happen. We take steps. And God, we're taking steps in the right direction, steps closer to you, closer to what your will says, closer to what your promise is for us. So God, we cancel the leaps that we think that we might have to make and realize that the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord and that you walk with us, you talk with us every step of the way. So God, I pray right now a special grace for the release and a special awareness for the release of the right steps to take, the right steps at the right time. God, order our steps, dear Lord. Give us the steps that we need to make starting tonight. God, speak to us all night long. Speak to us all night long, whether it's got to be a sermon or in prayer time or in music. God, speak all night long. So most important, that we can get into the river with you and that we no longer miss out on the fullness of what you had for us. The fullness, God, we come out of agreement with the bare minimum. The bare minimum is no longer acceptable. We want the best. We desire to have the best. We desire to do the best. We desire to be in the places of the best because we serve the best. The best leads us. The best guides us. The best protects us. The best gets things to us. And most importantly, the best allows things to happen and ordains things to happen, not to us, but for us. So, Father, we thank you, and we can smile and rest in the fact that we serve the best, so our lives are intact. No matter what may be going on outside, no matter what be going on our jobs, in our families, or even in our bodies, we serve the best, and you desire the best to be had for us. So God, we come out of agreement with the bare minimum, and we come into agreement with you, the fullness of you. The fullness of you. We say no to being subpar. We say no to barely making it. We say no to poverty in our money and in our mind. We say no to low level thinking. We say no to low level connections. We say no to low level relationships. We say no to low level partnerships. God, we say no to low levels because we serve a God that sits high. You sit high, and we're willing to come on up. And God, we know the way to come up to you is to move in obedience. So God, we come up to you. We say yes to the come up. We make steps toward the come up. We know that the come up is ultimately for our good and not for our disparity, not for our wrecking. It is for our absolute good because you are good. You are faithful. You are consistent. You are giving. You are merciful. You are loving. You are trusting. You are everything that you said in your word that you are. And we've seen you do it time and time and time again. And what better way than for us to commemorate a year of a perfect vision 2020 than to see your hand, to see your heart, to see your instructions in ways that we never had before. So Father, we thank you for giving us access to a life that does not include the bare minimum. And we stand on the fact that we know that your word has been released today that says we'll see the goodness of the Lord, not just in the land of the living, but in the last 5 months of this year. Then we declare and decree from July 1st to December 31st, 2020, we are moving in obedience and we are expecting the great, because we know that when we move in obedience, we make those things that once seemed impossible also possible. And God, we thank you for it because it's all about to make sense. And we let that be, and we rest in that, and we stand on that. And we love you for it. We honor you for it. We bless you for it. In the mighty and the matchless name of Jesus, we do pray. Amen, amen, and amen. Amen. Thank you all for joining in. Do me a favor. Share it to a friend. Share it to your timelines. Tag your friend. And I promise you, don't be the person that hoards the instructions of God. Don't be the person that hoards things. I promise you, Everybody in your camp, in your tribe, or whatever you want to call it, they need it. They need to be reminded that the Lord wants us to move with him and not separate from him. Amen. So if you guys don't have any questions, thank y'all for jumping on. Follow me on Facebook. I'm Ev. And I look forward to hearing the testimonies of what the Lord is going to do. And for some of us, 3 to 4 days, and for some of us, the rest of the month. But I know firsthand the Lord is moving on our behalf. So I love you guys. I'm thankful for you guys jumping on into my little TED Talk. And I hope you have a blessed and prosperous rest of the week. Expect some great things to happen because it's a come up happening. I love you all. Have a great night, okay?